Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci fi show where things can get totally radical. Now, today, I will be interviewing a comedy peer of mine from the Bay Area. Her name is Cheryl White. She has a talk radio show about dating out in the Bay Area, and she's a very funny lady. And today we'll find out a little bit about who she is, where she comes from, how did her comedy career begin, how did her radio career begin, and several other things. So, yeah, today we'll be talking to Cheryl White. I also want to remind you all again to attend Sinister Creature Con in Sacramento this weekend, one of the most radical horror conventions in California. It's going to be really cool, a lot of fun. Paul Sorvino is going to be there, C. Thomas Howell, Lisa Wilcox, Michael Berryman, Brittany Daniel, several others. It's going to be a really cool convention. Yeah, so this is my interview with Cheryl White. Hi, Cheryl.
Hey, Terry.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome to the show. Thank you for taking the time today. How was your trip?
Oh, it was amazing. We did so much stuff in such a short amount of time.
Nice, nice. So,
My boyfriend had never been to New York before, so.
I've never been to New York either. I want to go someday.
Definitely worth the trip.
Nice, nice. So did you always know you were funny growing up?
No, I mean, I wasn't like the class clown or something. I think I decided that I was funny when I was a teacher, and I would make my students laugh, and that made me feel good.
Nice.
But giving them F's didn't make me feel so good, so I thought being a comedian would be better.
Wow. Did you love...
How about you?
Me, I started performing for the family when I was only like maybe 3 years old. I used to wear costumes and entertain the family after dinner and stuff. So I knew early on.
Yeah, I did plays and stuff like that, so I've always been, wanted to be the center of attention anyway.
Yeah. Did you love stand-up when you were growing up, though?
No, it wasn't my big thing. It was later in life. I blossomed later in life.
Mm-hmm. Who do you like now that you appreciate?
I appreciate all the women that are blazing the trail, like Peretti and Schumer, and I know they all get a lot of flack, but I really enjoy watching them progress and how, not just the way that the media treats them, but the way that they sometimes change as they get bigger. It's pretty interesting to watch the whole phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Southern California, just outside of San Diego.
Oh, San Diego, La Jolla?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. I grew up in La Jolla. It was like paradise, Back then it was just a small, pretty small beach town,
Yeah. That's like the only part of California I haven't been to.
I'm about 1,000 there. I've been in New York and you haven't been there, and I grew up in La Jolla and you haven't been there. How about Humboldt County? Have you been there?
Oh, yeah, I've been to Humboldt County.
Well, there you go. I raised my kids up there and taught school up there, so.
Nice. So you used to be a school teacher?
Yep, high school English.
How long did you do that for?
Let's see. I did it for like 5 years full time, and then I went to live on a sailboat part of the year, and so I would long-term substitute the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. Did you
for another 4 or 5 years.
Did you become disenchanted with the whole bullshit of the school system?
Well, I miss the students. I think, being a high school teacher really renews your faith in humanity, because most kids are just, trying to do the best they can with what they've got, and that makes you think, people aren't all that bad. On the other hand, the administration is, the politics of the administration in any high school is just crazy making.
Yeah, a good friend of mine. She was a special ed teacher in middle school for I can't remember how many years, just under 10 years. She just became enchanted with the whole thing. She had a lot of battles with administrators and principals and stuff because she just didn't think that the kids that she was teaching was learning very much, based on the curriculum.
Well, I think that there's a weird business kind of atmosphere in administration that isn't healthy for the students. Like, they don't really put the students first, and that's sad. And then there's so much fear of litigation and stuff that they, some students get socially promoted who haven't learned anything, and so that kind of dumbs down the system for everybody, which is sad. But if you get in if you're lucky enough to be in a privileged kind of area like I was, teach, where education is really valued and a lot of people pump a lot of money into the school system, there it works, but that's, bad because that's only a fraction of, the population.
Mm-hmm. That's sure true. I mean, I was in special ed in school, and I don't think I learned as much I should have. I mean, I learned most of my stuff on the streets and everything.
Yeah, well, a lot of that has to do with the litigation part, too. They want to give accommodations to kids, and as they should, but then sometimes they overcompensate, and the kids end up not learning anything. It's the balancing act is so hard.
Mm-hmm. Balancing act, yeah. I think life is all about balance.
Absolutely.
So what year...
Balance isn't easy.
What?
Balance isn't easy.
Yeah, balance isn't easy. So what year did you begin doing stand-up?
Let's see. It's been about, I want to say, 6 years now. 6 years, maybe.
Wow.
Maybe 7. I don't really keep track. 6 or 7 years. I started when I first moved down to the city from Humboldt. So that would be 2000 and... I don't know, I can't remember.
2012?
2000 and I don't care. I think it's been like 6 years.
So about 2012-ish, probably?
Yeah, probably. And I went hard at first, like really, immersed myself in the whole culture. And I really love the comedy community in San Francisco, I think, although there is a little bit of, any kind of politics that goes on in a kind of group of people.
Oh, you think?
Still, overall, I think it's a good mix of people, and they're very supportive of each other if they're not physically backstabbing each other.
Well, I'll tell you, I started in 2006. I was at the Brainwash Cafe every week for 2.5 years. And at that time, stand-up comedy was kind of going through an artistic slump, I would say, just about everywhere in the world at that time. And it was for a lot of people I know who came to San Francisco, it was very intimidating. I thought so a little bit, I've never been accepted by comedians in my age group very much. All the older comics, they love me because I'm a one-liner comic and stuff. But all the ones in my age group, they get a little jealous because I'm a pretty good joke writer and I have Asperger's syndrome, and they see that as a threat, And it's a really sad thing, but I took a year off from comedy, 2009, 2010. And then when I came back, I decided I wasn't going to try to be a San Francisco comic anymore. I just got tired. I got tired of the tough crowds in San Francisco, the crazy homeless people, all that stuff. So I started going to San Jose, Silicon Valley, because the comic boom started up there by 2010, 11. And I mean, I found a whole new bunch of comics that in my age group that could be jealous of me, but it didn't start getting bad until a couple of years ago, until after my accident, and it got pretty bad. So many people just like couldn't handle the fact that I was pursuing it, full time and stuff, because I was doing it as a hobby for years, and I wasn't working that hard. And then when I started working hard, so many people couldn't handle it, So I understand the politics of what you mean in the Bay Area comedy scene.
Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship for sure. People can be, really come together and be very supportive, but they can also be very, sometimes they're like a group of hens, they pick one and they just isolate somebody and they're mean and it's horrible. There's no rhyme or reason to it, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I always feel like as an older comic, I didn't have to worry about that as much, and maybe that's why the older comics are more accepting, because there's not, they're kind of like past that whole being jealous or worried about how well someone, being more supportive about someone doing well instead of being jealous, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so I met you because on Facebook, on Bay Area Comedy Network page, you had posted about your dating radio show, and and I met you on there, and then I remember I met you in person when when we were booked at Doc's Lab.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a really bad night for me. I mean, I just completely bombed, and I did some pretty rough edge jokes that night, I remember.
I guess I remember more. I think we were both on a comedy competition somewhere. I can't remember where it was though.
I can.
Either Tommy T's or.
No, it was at the Improv.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, the open mic showdown. Yeah.
So I remember that. You did well there.
Oh yeah.
We all have our bad nights, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, I did it 4 times. The first 3 times were really good. The 4th time was not so good because I got some bad news before I went on that night, and I just wasn't into it. And that ended up being the very last time that the open mic showdown was going on. There was some cheating going on behind the scenes.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Well, thankfully I was oblivious to that, so.
Yeah.
I think we also both did something else now, it occurs to me. It was like a audition thing, like a 3-minute audition thing for some Southern California, some LA comedy competition or something.
Yes, the Burbank Comedy Festival.
Yes. We did that together too, I remember.
Yes, I remember that. I was just so surprised at the people who made it. I'll tell you, except for Tina Allen Gallo, because I love her. Okay,
well, also what's that woman's name? Her last name's Garcia, but she doesn't look Hispanic at all. The blonde her last name is Garcia. What's her name? Like Christina Garcia? I'm not sure, but she was so funny. She was so funny.
Garcia, blonde.
Yeah, she ended up doing the Pinterest thing where she tries to recreate Pinterest, like they bake things on Pinterest and then she tries to recreate it and she puts a picture of what she made next to, the really fancy picture on Pinterest and it's always like a disaster. Oh my God, she was so funny.
I can't remember. It was a couple of years ago. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a while back.
I just
remember her really well. I thought she was hilarious and then she went on to do some really great stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to try it again the next year, the year after, but I was planning on moving in 2016, and then I didn't do it until last year over here to Reading. But I'm going to do my best to just make the long drive and try it again this year.
Nice. Well, how do you like Reading?
Oh, it sucks over here.
Aw. Yeah, it's never been one of my favorite towns. Although I used to take the kids over the water slide this weekend.
Yeah, it's just really hot over here. There's mosquitoes. I've been getting bitten a lot this week. I have the this big old mosquito bite on my forehead right now. And
yeah, it's so hot. I remember one year we took the kids over there to the water park.
Yeah.
And then the next day when we stayed at a hotel, the next day the headlines on a newspaper was that spreading the day before had been the hottest place on earth.
The hottest day on earth?
Yeah. I was like, oh great, we were at the waterside in the hottest place on earth. Literally.
Sounds like a ride at Disneyland.
Yeah, no, it was horrible.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, no, it's just really hot over here, and just the people here are kind of strange.
They're very conservative.
Very conservative, and if they don't think you're white trash enough, they don't want to have anything to do with you.
Yeah, that's like an asset to them. I know Joe Klosick. Do you know him? He's a pretty good comic, and he tells a story about going to Reading once, and in the auditorium when he went in to do his set was like hanging up with this giant Confederate flag. And the guy told him right before he went on stage, just don't say anything about the flag. They're really sensitive about it. So of course Joe spent, his entire set talking about the Confederate flag, and then some guy like tried to punch him in the parking lot. It's a really funny story though.
Who said that?
Joe Klosick. Do you know him?
Joe Klosick.
Yeah.
No, I know Joe Gorman.
No, not Joe Gorman. Although Joe Gorman's in the community, I know he's moving like this week or something.
I know. Oh my God, he and I came up together in 2006 at the Brainwash, and I even knew back then like he should be a New York comic because he's got that look, that energy, Yeah. Yeah, I think
he's going to New York, right?
I'm sorry?
Is he moving to New York?
Yeah, he's moving to New York. Yeah. I know he's going to do good over there. I think he's going to be like one of the top comics at the Cellar.
Well, fingers crossed for him. I hope it goes well.
Yeah. I know.
When I moved to San Francisco, my first apartment in San Francisco was on Langton Street, which is the cross street where the Brainwash was, right?
Right.
And so I would go out at night, and when I was coming home or whatever, I would see all the people of the Brainwash. And that's really how I started getting into comedy, because I would just stop in on my way home and like sit through a couple sets and then go home. And I kept thinking about how cool it was that people were doing the comedy scene and stuff. And I kept going back to watch the comics of the Brainwash. Or that's what really got me interested and started in the first place.
Wow. Yeah, I stopped going there after 2009, and when I was there for 2.5 years, it was a really weird vibe there. I mean, you had all these people in my age group. They were like poetry beatniks, and you had all these like sometimes goth kids hanging out there, or and then there was all these crazy homeless people. Some of them tried to go on stage and stuff. It was a really weird vibe there, but I have some good memories there.
Absolutely, it's probably the most bizarre place to do comedy ever.
Yeah,
but it's definitely a rite of passage in San Francisco to have done comedy there a few times.
Yeah, a couple people I've interviewed on the show that started the same time I did. We've talked about those days, and there was a lot of craziness.
Sweet Gail and all that.
Oh God, yeah, Sweet Gail. Did you know her?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, I didn't even know she was still alive after I left.
Yeah, well, as far as I know, she still is, but I don't know. She was still there for sure.
Wow. Yeah, I remember Sweet Gail. There's so many there. I mean, there'd be people that were like established like San Francisco legends coming in there from time to time, and then there'd just be random riffraff, and some of them would be pretty bad, some of them would be pretty good. And you'd think to yourself, God, where did this person come from?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the best and the worst for sure was at Brainwash.
Yeah. There were some good times.
There's nothing that's really replaced that either. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's no, like, central place where everyone in the city goes to do weird open mic stuff anymore. It's pretty spread out.
Yeah.
Did you ever do the punchline thing every Sunday?
No, during the last 2 years or so that I was in the Bay Area, there was a part of me that wanted to give it a try, but then there was another part of me that felt the same way I felt when I first started. Like, fuck, it just seems, like a waste of time to, like, keep going there and not get on stage for a year,
Yeah. I don't regret doing the whole punchline thing because, I got on stage pretty quick. It was not a year, but, and I probably went up there 8 or 9 times, but what I really got out of it was the connections to other comics. Like, every Sunday, it was like every comic in the city would come through, or most of them, and I made more bookings from hanging out at the punchline than from anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So going there was, like, beneficial for me that way. It wasn't about being on the stage as much as the networking going on in the back.
Yeah. I mean, I do know some people who did get on there, within a month and stuff, but it was mainly because of recommendation of established comics, But I just didn't feel like...
No, I put in my dues. I was probably 7 to 8 months before I got up.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty long. And,
it's a half a year.
It really depended on... It helped that I was a woman because they wanted to have some balance. And so there was always less women. So you had a little edge in getting up a little bit earlier because they needed a woman to go up,
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I really, almost all the first roasts that we did and stuff we booked from people that I met at the punchline and stuff.
Yeah. I heard that Cobb's is having like a once a month open mic now.
Yeah, because there was that fire or whatever at the punchline.
Mm-hmm.
And so they started singing at Cobb's.
Wow. Yeah. I might do that one eventually if I come to town and stuff, to see if I can, like, get on, even though there's a lottery and everything like there is in LA and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's punchline and Cobb's. If you go and, like a few times anyway, 4 or 5 times, and then you tell them you're coming from out of town, they'll push through the ranks a little bit because they know you travel so far. It happens for other people.
Wow, 4 or 5 times?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, after most people wait, go every week for a year at the punchline, so I don't know. That's not that many times, I don't think.
Yeah. Because I went to LA 2 years ago for the first time in many years, and I tried to get stage time in all the comedy clubs, not knowing about the lottery and stuff. I did get stage time at the Ice House in Pasadena because I told them that I was from San Francisco when the MC was doing crowd work and stuff, and he asked me where I'm from, and I said I'm from San Francisco and I'm a comic, and then he gave me stage time.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, and the funny part is, I've been part of a lottery at the Comedy Store and the Improv earlier that week and didn't get on. So 3 times without the guy looking and leaving the bucket unattended, I put my name in there 3 times.
Oh, and you didn't get up?
Well, it didn't matter because he did crowd work and asked me where I was from. And I said I'm from San Francisco and I'm a comic, and he got me on. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I did a lottery at the Comedy Store a couple times, and that's a weird process, and I didn't like it much.
Well, you have to live there to be a part of the process,
Yeah, I did a couple bringer shows there early on, and that was cool, and it was fun to say I'd been up at the Comedy Store and stuff. But I really only did one show that I could call a real show at the Comedy Store. But that was enough. I could check it off my list.
I hate bringer shows, I'll tell you.
Yeah, well, when you're young and starting out as a comic, that's how bringer shows like exist. That you don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh yeah, I want to be up at the comedy store.
Yeah. I just hate the process of just constantly promoting and getting people on. I mean, that's why I'm probably the only guy in the history of Rooster Teeth Feathers to be there every Wednesday night for 8 years without getting paid to MC or feature there.
Mm, that's a long haul.
Yeah, I mean, I've I've given up on all of that, and I had an issue with Rooster Teeth Feathers recently. I came into town back in January to do my third audition overall for America's Got Talent, and I asked Heather if I could do a set there on Wednesday night, and she said yes. Well, in the 8 years I've been going there, I have never been late one time, and the one time I was late, Jen, the manager, screamed at me.
Mm.
And I don't know, she's only been there maybe 3 or 4 years. I can't remember and stuff. But overall, I've been treated really shitty there for the past 3 years. And after she screamed at me that night, that was the breaking point. So I sent Heather this long email, explaining what's been going on the last 3 years, and then getting yelled at that night and stuff. I never heard back from her. So I have no desire to go there for a Wednesday night set ever again. But I'll go there to audition for that festival again, but I'm not going to perform there again overall.
Right. Where do you perform up in Reading?
My only means of performing is this right now.
You don't have any open mics? You should start open mic up there.
I should, but there's not many bars in my distance and stuff, and I don't drive, But Sacramento is like the closest to like any kind of comedy around here, but that's 3 hours away and stuff.
They have a great comedy scene, but 3 hours is a long way to go.
Yeah, this one comedian, she was actually, I actually met her at that audition that night that we were on too, Kristen Frisk.
Uh-huh.
She told me the Sacramento comedy scene is pretty good.
Yeah, it's great. There are some great comics out of there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. I've met a lot of people in the series of comedy I did in Las Vegas. I met a whole group of people from Sacramento that year, and I've just really enjoyed all their comedy. They've done a really great job.
Oh, cool.
What about Humboldt? You're only 3 hours from Humboldt, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
You have a comedy scene?
I could try that too. I don't know. I don't even know how long I'm going to be here for and stuff. I mean, we're trying to move to Los Angeles and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, living in LA that's the only way to get into the LA comedy scene is to actually move there.
Yeah. Trying. Yeah. Me and my mom, we're trying to. It's a process. I wanted to move there like right after high school. My plan after high school, I wanted to take improv and sketch classes at the Groundlings because I'm such a huge fan of them. They had a big influence on me as a kid, and I wanted to do that. Maybe even have that lead to stand up and everything and stuff. But I had to take care of my grandmother for 9 months after I graduated, and she died. And then I fell into a deep depression for a while. And
okay.
Yeah, and I was just shut off for about 4 years, and then I got into stand-up. I got into stand-up at the right time. I found out 1 week after my birthday that I had to lose weight because I was just morbidly obese, and I had all this cholesterol around my heart and stuff, and my heart was in trouble, and I lost 130 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I had a will of determination to do it, and comedy helped me because I replaced food with writing jokes.
Well, there you go. That's good.
Yeah, that was the beginning of it for me and stuff. But I was curious though. So, how did you start your radio show, Date Talk?
was dating at the time, and but not very successfully. Like, I would go on dates with people, and sometimes I would decide not to date them, but sometimes they would decide not to date me, and I wouldn't know why. They're like, well, I thought we had a nice date. Why would they not call me again? And it bugged me. It just really bugged me that I didn't have the answers. And so I decided, well, then this radio station in Oakland was getting ready they were soliciting project ideas from the community. And so I made a project idea about this. Well, I actually started with a video blog first before I submitted my idea. Every time I went on a date, I would do a video of me before I left on the date, and then immediately as soon as I got home, before I did anything else, I would sit down and do another video about the date. And so I was doing this video blog, and that's when it became like an issue. Like, I didn't know if I wasn't really ever sure how it went or what they really thought or what happened. And so when this radio station was looking for ideas, I thought, well, I could switch my video blog to like a radio type format and ask these people on the radio and ask them why they didn't want to date me. And so I submitted the idea to the radio station, and they chose it, which was great. But then I had to actually ask guys that I'd been on dates with if they wanted to come on the radio and talk about why they didn't want to date me. And surprisingly, a lot of times they would say yes, and they would come on the radio. And my co-host and I would, well, first we talk about the date. Sometimes it was his dates that didn't work out as well, but if it was mine, we would talk about, the date and how I thought it went and what I thought happened. Mm-hmm. And then I leave the studio, and the guy would come in and talk without me there, so he could be open or whatever, and he would talk to my co-host about how he thought the date went and what he thought happened. And then my co-host and I would get back together and recap the differences between what I thought happened and what my date thought happened, because it was always not really the same idea. So that's really how it started. It's been, I don't know, quite a few years now. I want to say at least 3 that we've been doing the show. Mm-hmm. Maybe closer to 4. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember it was about 2015 that we first became Facebook friends, and we had talked about the show, and I told you I don't know if you can locate anybody I've been out with, to be on the show and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hardest part was always coming up with enough people to do the show, and then when I got in a long-term relationship, it became a little bit even more difficult because I was normally the person who was bringing people on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So now the format's a little bit different. It's a call-in show. I have a different co-host since Ira moved to LA, although I love Ira and he's a great guy. Mm-hmm. My new co-host, Adam, and I talk about dating. We have people come on into the studio and talk about their dating experience and stuff, but we don't always bring both sides of a date anymore because it's just a struggle since I'm not dating.
Yeah. Do you have any good dating stories you want to share?
I have a million. They're all on Date Talk. People should go and listen to it. They're archived at kgpc969.com, and there's quite a few. I think the most interesting dating stories are the ones that had a broader implications, like race or when we had weird differences of opinion about stuff that were huge, people who were really into the weird stuff like BDSM and that kind of stuff, and those are the most interesting conversations for sure.
Yeah.
People ask you out on dates and then don't really reveal what they're into until after been on a date or two, and then suddenly are not really compatible, and those are the ones that were the most interesting to talk about on the radio.
Yeah, I have two really good ones that I can share. They take place 3 months apart from each other, when I was in my mid-20s and stuff.
Okay, that was a while ago. It must be great if you still remember them.
Oh yeah, because I went through a period in my 20s where I was pretty wild and doing wild things, and um, they're the most memorable. I haven't really dated in about 5 years overall. I just got to a point where I was just like sick of meeting all these just crazy, stupid girls in the Bay Area, and
It was a pretty hectic scene, that's for sure.
I was pretty happy with just the one night stands I was getting after that, leading up to my accident
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. And I haven't really had any sexual contact since before my accident. So I'm going through a dry spell, and I'm trying to get back on the bicycle again because I'm fully recovered now. But after when you're recovering from an accident for so long, you don't really have any game, and you're trying to fix yourself.
Right, that energy's got to go somewhere else. Got to get better first.
hmm So yeah, so here's the first one. Um, in 2008, uh, I would say probably about a month after my ex-girlfriend broke up with me, I went to this porno shop in San Mateo. It's an adult bookstore, and
Uh-huh.
there was a girl. She was like 21 years old. I was 25. She was 21, and she was this cute Latino girl working the counter at this shop. And I went in there because I wanted to buy a dildo, and I wanted to see uh, some of the previews in the booths and stuff. Because I'd never been to
Uh-huh.
this one before and stuff. So she helped me find a dildo, and then I went into the shop, into the booth. I mean, and then after I was done, I came out, and I honestly told her that this is so funny how I got this date. I told her that I blew my load all over the screen, right? And I
Yeah.
really did. And she said, "Oh, I know." And I said, how did you know?" And she said, "I was watching on the surveillance." And I was like, "Really?" And she was like, "Yeah, I wanted to see what you were gonna do and how long you would last." And I was like, "Want to go out?" And she was like, "Yes." And so,
Okay, first of all, I didn't know that was surveillance. That's not good. What a great way to go do it.
well, I can't hear you. Sorry.
I said, what a great way to get a date.
Yeah. It's and so we go out the next week. We go to the Cheesecake Factory in Palo Alto,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a nice dinner. It was kind of awkward though. There was a lot of awkward silence, and we really didn't have that much to say to each other, but we were attracted to each other in some way. And so then she was I think she was driving an SUV or something. So we go to her SUV, and I don't know. We spent like an hour talking in it, and like I had my arm around her and stuff, and I was just like stroking her neck the whole time and just
Mm-hmm.
talking. And I don't know. She didn't want to kiss me, and she didn't want to do anything further with me. And she said that we were going to hang out again, but then she had told me that she changed her mind, though. Like,
You know, it would have been perfect to come on Blue Talk, because that's weird.
yeah, it was a really weird date and stuff. But what something I remember mostly too, she had very bad breath. I remember,
Oh,
and I remember she took her shoes off in the car, and she had stinky feet. And
I think you're better off then.
yeah, I think in hindsight, I think she was a crystal meth addict.
Oh, not good.
No, no. And by the way, her mother owned that shop too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I actually saw her on the bus like a year later, and she was with another guy who was Latino, and they were like holding hands and kissing and like talking in their language. I thought it was pretty cute. I'm glad she found somebody.
Yeah, well, that's good. Who knows? Like, see, that's the thing. That's like the thing about date talking. in those type of situations, you're like, what actually happened? Like, that was weird. Like, why did she act like she was interested and then suddenly not? And so that's exactly what made me want to go to a date talk, because I really wanted to find out what was actually going on in those situations. It's interesting to actually find out in the end what really was going through somebody else's mind.
Yeah. And then the other one, I was with this girl for an entire month. She came into the bar that I was a bouncer at, and we went out for like a whole month. She would come over to my house and she would like not want to have sex with me, and I never understood that. And every time like we would make out, she would like stop in like the middle of it and she would like start feeling sad for some reason. It was really weird. But I cared about her though. She was a good person, but just in hindsight, I just know she was a bad alcoholic, you know.
Well, she's Catholic. She was dealing with some serious issues, that's for sure.
Yeah, and so we went on this date on Valentine's Day, and she was drunk. She was drunk when I first got there, and I didn't realize it until she had like the first few sips of the drink I bought her.
Mm-hmm.
And then she just got progressively drunker. And so this is so funny. I cut the date off early, like within an hour. I just could not stand what she was doing.
Right.
And so we parted ways, and then I went to my bar to hang out and stuff, and just like I just had to get the it was my first Valentine's date ever, my first date ever on Valentine's Day, and it was a disaster. Mm-hmm. So I go to the bar to hang out, and within a half an hour, she's there.
What? And she knew you worked there, right?
She knew I worked there. I don't think she knew I was going to be there because I told her that I was going home.
Right.
So she shows up, and she has her dad with her. I think her dad picked her up and said, you know, I think she called him and said, you know, the date ended early. I need you to come get me because I'm drunk or something like that. And then they went for a drink. And so she like she saw me, and then she like yelled at me and what have you. And then we talked the next day. She vaguely even remembered seeing me at the bar. And so I was with her for like 2 more weeks, and then she came in one night while I was working with another guy, and then I never talked to her again after that. But I saw her a number of times after that, and she was always trying to be cool with me. But I one of the last times I saw her, I told her to go fuck herself because I was still pretty mad about that.
Sounds like a good reason.
Yeah. And I have a reason to believe that she stole my mom's credit card. Yeah.
Not good. All bad news.
Yeah, we noticed like right around the time that she was coming over a lot that the card went missing, but we were never able to prove it other than the fact that we were looking at the charges, and she told me about some liquor store that she went to in South City, and it was charged to a liquor store in South City. And I was like, oh, it had to have been her. It had to have been.
Yeah. That's just sick.
Yeah.
Who does that? Yeah.
I remember one time I went to go visit her at the deli she was working at, and all her female coworkers, I couldn't believe it. They all stopped when I entered the place. They all thought that I was handsome, and I don't think I'm that handsome. I was just like, wow, I feel really uncomfortable right now.
Yeah. Well, that's the way to feel uncomfortable, I guess.
Yeah, it was a weird situation. It was weird. What are the things that turn you on about a man?
Well, I'm in a long-term relationship now, and I think that we have the same values, the same goals. You know.
Yeah.
We're supportive. Those things are really important, especially somebody who like cares about you, but also like supports you and what's important to you.
Yeah.
And so somebody who's not, who's not self-serving. Those two are all super exciting. Really, in my old age, I like a human being who cares about other people. Imagine that. Instead of just the bad boys, running from the chandelier.
Yeah, I look for support and understanding and all that stuff too. I haven't found it yet, but I look for that too. And then there's the physical part. I love eyes, smile. I love nice feet that don't smell.
Yeah.
And by the way,
I think that smell is a turn off for sure.
Yeah. And by the way, Cheryl, if you ever want to roast me about my foot fetishism, you can do that.
Oh, all right. I'll ask Pete about it. That's probably make a great roast.
Pete who?
Oh, Pete O'Keefe. He and I co-produced the SF Roast, and we do that. We used to do it every other month. Well, every month for a long time, and then every other month for a couple of years. And now we only do it periodically. We roast stereotypes, actual people, but who have very stereotypical jobs. Like we roasted a porn star, and we roasted a stripper, and we roasted a pro wrestling star, and we roast Santa every year. We roast a cop, an Oakland cop one time. That was one of my favorites. We roasted every kind of, we tried silly stuff like roasting a lawyer and we roasted a homeless guy once. We always pick something, kind of iconic, but then we actually get an actual person who does that job or whatever, and then we have a roast. We use about 8 local San Francisco comics, and it's a pretty big deal. We have a pretty good following. It's always super hilarious. The last show we did was at the Battery in San Francisco, and it was nice.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, no, I was just making sure it wasn't Pete Munoz, because he and I are enemies.
Oh, I know who Pete Munoz is, but no, it's not him.
Okay.
Pete O'Keefe. Do you know him?
No.
He's a nice guy for sure.
There are so many comics in the Bay Area, and so many I do know and so many I don't know.
I know, I'm always amazed on Facebook when I have, someone will pop up and they'll say, you have 1,032 friends in common, and I've never heard of the person in my entire life. You're like, how is that even possible?
Yeah, and how many of those people are actually really comedians,
Yeah, it's so funny.
Yeah, there's so many of them that just come out of the woodwork that I meet all the time,
Yeah.
And so many that move from the Midwest to the Bay Area, and I'm like, oh my God, how did you end up here? Get out of here, go to Boston or Chicago or New York or LA,
Right, but there's 3 big places for sure: New York, LA, and San Francisco for comedy. If you can make it in San Francisco, then you have a shot at LA and New York,
Yeah. Well, I tell anybody who's just starting in the Bay Area that wants to make comedy a career, I tell them, do the 2-year minimum, try to get past at the Punchline or Cobb's or the Improv, wherever, whatever area you're in and whatever club takes you, get past there, MC, work your way up to feature, and then get the hell out of there. Otherwise, you're always going to be a feature at that club, in the Bay Area, and, go other places, and, then work your way to LA when you're ready.
Yeah.
I wish I had known this years ago, but I had no mentors. Nobody taught me the business side of comedy. I had to learn it by listening to podcasts, because they talk about it all the time on podcasts, what the business of comedy entails. Nobody ever told me.
Yeah, what I found interesting that nobody told me when I started comedy is that there's so many different avenues to making it in comedy. It's not just about being a famous stand-up comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people I know who make it going from San Francisco to LA is because they become writers.
Yeah.
they write for TV or they write for for other comedians or they write for other kind of content like that.
Mm-hmm.
Or producers, or they produce shows or whatever it is that like the majority of what I do now is produce the roast, produce the live Food Talk game show, and do a radio show. It's not as much stand up at all anymore. I mean, I don't do any like regular bar shows and stuff anymore at all, unless I'm going somewhere where I have friends who want to see me do stand up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I still feel like I do comedy, but I do very little actual stand up comedy.
I got my first paid gig a couple months before I moved, and I couldn't perform it because a damn tree fell on top of the BART train that was behind me.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was January, it was storming rain, and it was at Tommy T's. Sam Marcox booked the show. It was me, him, Terry Dorsey, and a couple of comedians I never even heard of that I know at least one of them came from LA to do the show. And the tree fell on top of the BART train that was behind us, and I had people coming out to see me and everything. I had friends that lived in Pleasanton that were bringing a group in, and I missed it. I was like, damn it, you know.
Oh, yes, bad timing.
Yeah, it was a really weird thing, and I was pretty upset about that. But
well, you're a great joke writer. You can, even if you're not performing up there, you can be pursuing other avenues of comedy for sure.
Oh yeah, I write every day. I write screenplays and stuff. I'm going to Comic Cons, horror cons, and movie festivals. And all the people that I've met there over the last couple of years and stuff, pitching it to them and everything. So I got other things that I do and stuff.
Yeah.
Other goals and stuff. But
that's the thing that I find really interesting about comedy is that a lot of people, it branches off in so many different ways. If people end up doing a lot of different stuff.
Yeah. Like I would never want to be a writer for a sitcom or a late night talk show because, you have to write like over 50 jokes and you're lucky if one of them makes the final product.
Yeah, it sounds like it's fun though.
It can be, and stuff.
I mean, that were my strength, writing. It would be interesting, I think.
It would be interesting.
Not really for me, but
yeah, it would be interesting. But there's just I've heard so many horror stories about it though. Like the star of the show is a real diva,
Yeah.
And like some of them like take like 50 jokes and take the person's 50 jokes and says that they're all terrible, but then ends up using them anyway, and then ends up coming off like a real dick,
Yeah, but you're getting the paycheck for your jokes, so I don't know. It's sad when you write a good joke and it goes by the wayside, but if they paid for it, I guess that's what happens.
Yeah.
I know it's hard when people make it big and then they can't be nice to people do things like write the jokes for them and stuff.
Yeah, I just don't think I can write for other people. I can only write for me.
Well, it's good to know where your strength lies.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself going with comedy in the future?
I'm pretty complacent with where I'm at now. I like my radio show. I enjoy doing sets every once in a while when I travel and stuff, and I'm producing the shows that I produce live. So I'm going to do a show in Stockton next month, and
nice.
One of the big talk game shows, Bottom Fun. And I'm pretty complacent. I have a very passionate interest that I spend actually a lot more time on now than I do comedy. So I have a dog that I'm trained to rescue, and so it takes a lot of my time, and it's really fascinating, and I'm putting a lot of my energy into that. But I still keep my, foot in the pool, so to speak.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Do you have a favorite joke of all time?
Yeah, it's two peanuts were walking down the street, one was assaulted.
Wait, tell me that again. I can't.
Two peanuts walking down the street, one was assaulted.
Oh.
That's been my favorite joke since I was probably 4. I don't know why. It makes me laugh every time.
Since '74. Wow.
So since I don't know. It's dumb, but it's funny. That's what I like. I wish I could write the perfect joke like that.
Well, this joke I've loved since '84. It was on Eddie Murphy Delirious. He told it to a couple 13-year-olds in the audience. A bear and a rabbit are taking a shit in the woods. The bear says to the rabbit, "Excuse me, sir, do you have a problem with shit sticking to your fur?" The rabbit says no, so the bear wiped his ass with the rabbit.
Well, rabbits are soft. That's one smart bear.
Yeah, I love that joke. So funny.
Isn't it funny what tickles the funny bone? Everybody has their weird favorite joke. It always seems like if you ask them what their favorite joke is, it's always very peculiar and never anything very elaborate. It's just like a funny, small joke.
Yeah.
It's just somehow they stick in your head like that.
Yeah. I also love this other one. What does a redneck do for Halloween? Pumpkin.
Oh, there you go. See?
Yeah.
Idea. This is. I love those kind of jokes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Tommy, I think I'm going to have to cut it off here. I'm getting down to the wire. I have somewhere else I have to be.
Okay. Do you have any gigs you want to promote?
I have a show in Stockton on July 22nd. It's the Big Talk Game Show. We have a bachelorette and 3 bachelors vying for a date with her. Just like the old TV show, except there's a lot more audience participation, so that's always raucous and funny.
Mm-hmm.
Audience writes the questions, so they can be super dirty or they can be super deep or super political, or you never know what the audience is going to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the next big show I got on the books. Thanks for letting me do the show.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe I'll see you soon and have you on again. It was a lot of fun.
All right. Well, let me know when you're going to be down this way performing.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Cheryl White. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Cheryl. That was a pretty fun interview. Always love talking about the Bay Area comedy scene. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks.